The murderer with his heart full of hate, taking innocent lives and sealing their fate. A soulless act that we cannot debate, a stain on humanity, a heavy weight. The criminal, a thorn in society's side, a threat to our safety we cannot hide. We must fight against this evil tide and bring justice to all those who have died. The land of hope in the land of dreams, where freedom reigns, or so it seems, a beacon of hope, a shining light for all who seek a better life. Immigrants far and wide, with hope and dreams they cannot hide. They come with passion and desire to build a life to reach higher. Welcome to Divided We Stand. I am Jimmy J, and that man over there could probably win American Idol because he's got the golden voice, is Joe Aguiar. Joe, good evening.
Good to see you, Jimmy.
Always a pleasure, my friend. All right, man. This topic, the first half of my poem or limerick or whatever you want to call it there, Joe, has got me heated, man. We're letting murderers out of jail. Murderers, and like this is like not even a political type thing to me. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it is because the Democrats are doing it in a Democrat-controlled state, but like it's more of a common sense thing to me here, right? I mean, more so. I mean, Joe, I only got one question here. Are their victims united earlier with their families? I'm going to go ahead and say the answer is no. Okay? And if that is true, which it is, the freaking punishment should be respective to the crime.
Yeah.
If they're not being reunited with their families, why should these jackwagons?
So I don't disagree with you. This is definitely an issue for the Democrats. It's one of those things too, Jim, where when someone experiences it firsthand or even secondhand, that's when you start seeing changes at the ballot box. So I don't think it's a good policy. I thought, back in the 2022 election, hearing Bob Stefanowski talk about that, I thought because of the economy, because of inflation, because of the high gas prices, crime, I thought the Republicans had it in the bag, and instead he lost by 8 points more than he lost by the first time. So I can't understand it, Jimmy. I mean, I'm again, having been a Republican my whole life, I've always been very tough on crime. I understand that there are some situations where minorities are affected at a greater percentage rate. I understand that. I think we should be woke and aware of. We should be aware of the racial ramifications of things. But if you commit a crime, it's too late. You can't save that person, and giving them a short sentence and hoping they're going to learn their lesson from catching a break is unlikely.
So I agree actually with what you just said there, man, right? That there are marijuana charges that can be wiped away. There are, small minor infractions here and there. I get that. I do small misdemeanors even. Okay, I understand that. But we're not talking about that here, right? We're talking about felonies. The state of Connecticut commuted 71 people with 95 felonies. Therefore, simple math here, multiple felonies. People out of that 71, there were people there with multiple felonies, right? There was one gentleman who was sentenced to, now I don't have the exact number, but it's pretty sure it's like 85 years, right? If you get sentenced to 85 years, Joe, you done something bad. I don't know what it was, but I can't imagine it was stealing a pack of cigarettes from your 7-Eleven. All right? You did something really heinous. You got 85 years. They just commuted 67 and a half of those years, Joe. 67 and a half. That is not punishment, in my opinion. What like, I don't know what else I can say. I don't know what else I can do. I mean, there's only one reason in my mind, Joe, and I've thought about this for a long time. Like, why in the world would somebody do this, right? And we're seeing all over the country, right, about these soft on crime prosecutors, these soft on crime DAs, like Gaston out in California, Bragg in New York, right? Very soft on crime. In fact, I just read an article that there are scores of laws that are no longer being prosecuted in the state of New York, right? And there's a list of them. So that's great. Anybody can get this list. We're like, look, these are all the crimes I can commit now without being prosecuted. They put it out on the freaking paper. They wrote an article. Like that's like the. I didn't think anybody could be that stupid, right?
It's a reasonable thought to have.
Let's give this list of crimes that we're no longer going to prosecute out to all the criminals on the street. There you go. Have at it, guys. So there's only one thing that I can come up with. There's only one thing, right? And I'm quickly starting to become a conspiracy theorist in my own head.
I love it.
And it's bad, Joe. It is. It's but I can't, and I'm hoping to God that you can bring me back to some kind of reality here. Otherwise, I'm going to keep going on and thinking this conspiracy theory, right? Step one, you get a great education and you make people dumb. We're proving that we're doing that, right? The test scores are down. People, in my opinion, are not as common sense, street smart. I'll say that. Like, they're very technically savvy, right? This is the smartest generation we've had. Right? That's what they say, right? They're very book smart. They're very technically smart, but street smart, common sense wise, they're not smart. I mean, they're not.
They live in a bubble.
Yes, right. You see what I'm saying? So you're making people dumb here. The other thing that makes people dumb in this, in my opinion, and this is just, I don't know if this is just my opinion, but I'm going to say it now, is TikTok. You want to know why TikTok makes people dumb? Because it turns everybody into a 15-second headline. That's all your attention span is anymore now. People, is 15 seconds. That's what you're being brainwashed into thinking that short of that short, right? That short-sighted.
What were you saying?
I'm saying TikTok is an evil thing. All right. But anyway.
Listen, not to mention a couple more things about TikTok. Obviously, everybody knows China owns it, and the algorithm that our kids are seeing in this country is not what they're seeing in that country. And right. I'll also point out that 1 in 5 pieces of content on TikTok is misinformation of some kind.
It's just there to make us dumb. And China is actually
turn us against each other at the same time because we start fighting over nonsense. Jimmy, about 2 weeks ago, I watched a video that called the Space Shuttle Challenger a conspiracy theory and suggested all those people are still alive.
Yeah, I don't understand those kind of conspiracy theories, right? Like those ones, the landing on the moon,
There's a lot of that stuff.
Freaking Sandy Hook, all those conspiracy theories. My favorite one is that Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton are eating babies, right? I love those. Those are my favorite.
I'm glad you don't believe that.
What's that?
I'm glad you don't believe that.
Of course I don't believe that. Come on, man. So let me get back to that. Let me get back to my conspiracy theory. All right? Let me get back to my conspiracy theory.
I'm dying.
So you degrade education. You degrade authority figures such as cops, right? And then parents.
And Dr. Fauci.
Dr. Fauci.
Let's
Right?
disparage that guy too. Take down the authority figure on.
You take
Yeah.
you take down authority figures like cops and parents. Right? We already had the defund the cops movement. Now we're in the government knows how to teach your kid better than your parent
Defund
movement.
the FBI.
Defund the well, that was
Those you
defund the
guys
FBI,
like
right?
3 months ago. Yeah.
Right? And then you cause chaos in the streets. And how do you cause chaos in the streets? You let the freaking fox in the hen house.
Oh, I got a better way. You kill a guy on the streets of Minneapolis.
That would do it.
Yeah. And then touch off riots.
See, this is now are going to be organically grown, right? Now, I'm serious, Joe. Well, there's going to be chaos. There's going to be panic in the streets.
An insurrection at the Capitol.
And then, guess what happens? Final step?
They try to overthrow the government.
No. Big Brother comes down. The government comes down and says, we're going to save you all by taking over. And there goes the country. There goes our republic. Tell me if there's another reason.
People invade the Capitol.
People invade the Capitol and get guided tours while inside.
You're not buying that.
You think the video was made up? Like they doctored the entire video, Joe?
He took out
video
when they got
inside.
He took like a minute of video out of 41,000 hours. That could have been when the guy was leaving.
41,000 hours. They got inside, right? And they started looking around, man.
Jimmy,
like, oh, that's really
Jimmy, even Mitch McConnell knows that that's bullshit.
Speaking of which, I hope he's doing well. I heard he went to the hospital today.
Yeah. You know what? Listen, in all seriousness, and you'll recall when Paul Pelosi was attacked and people like Donald Trump Jr. made light of it. I was like, what is wrong with you people? Same thing here. An old man fell. All you can do is hope the guy gets better. He's a human being. You don't agree with him politically, maybe you don't like his policies. Even if you think he's Moscow Mitch and he's on the take, he's still a human being. And yeah, I do. My understanding is he'd be hospitalized a couple more days, but his spokesman finally came out and said he was fine.
Good. Well, you know what, man? Here's the thing. I do wish him all the best. I really do. But maybe
I'm sure Donald Trump does too.
Right? Maybe it's a sign you shouldn't be in a job such a, as stressful as this.
It's the second time he's fallen.
You know what I'm saying? It's time to go, guys. We got to get rid. And I'm happy. I mean, I'm not happy that he fell, but I'm happy that it's coming. He's got to realize that it's time to hang it up.
Jimmy, right? Jimmy, do you know what my favorite thing about Ron DeSantis is? That his hair is dark.
What's that?
His hair is dark. He's a young man.
Yes, he is.
I don't like him as a candidate, but if I had to pick one thing, he's youthful.
I see what you're saying, but I mean, if we're going to talk about this, I don't think he's gonna. I honestly don't think he is going to run this time around.
Different example, Nikki Haley. If there's one thing I like about Nikki Haley, she's young.
She's young. Oh man. Somebody asked me if I thought Nikki Haley could go toe to toe with Donald Trump on a debate stage. What is your answer?
I think
she can.
Yeah, dude, she's smart and she's quick on her feet, and I mean can lie with the best of them. So I would think she'd be. I would think she could handle that really well.
Donald Trump is just he's so vicious, right? That I think it scares people to go down to his level. You see what I'm saying? Because then you look like you know what I'm saying? Then you look like a pig, just, like as you referenced. So they're scared to go to that level because they don't want to be that.
Yeah.
So it puts them in a very hard spot, right? Do I take it on the chin from Donald Trump? or do I go sink to his level? So I don't know what the answer is there. I really don't. And that's why I don't think any of them can go with him, can go toe to toe with him on a debate stage.
So earlier today on the radio, I talked to Joe Walsh, former congressman from Illinois. He was part of the Tea Party.
The Eagles guitarist?
No, that's a different Joe Walsh. After he got knocked out of office, he became a national conservative talk show host, big Trump guy, and then had enough of Trump and turned against him, and he lost his job. And he's big time conservative. He's on CNN a lot. Again, because of his stance, he's called the Republican Party a cult. He says they're radicalized. I talked to him today about Stephen Scalise. He says Stephen Scalise is a really good guy, has no backbone, and is the reason why he's going along with this. Kevin McCarthy is a jellyfish. Kevin McCarthy tries to be all things to all people. He's hungry with power. He told me Jim Jordan was Joe Walsh's best friend when they were in Congress together. He told me Jim Jordan is crazy and believes the BS that he's spewing. But here's the other thing that interesting enough that he pointed out to me. You know, he was a Tea Party guy, and those guys were the fringe lunatics at the time. Guys like Jim Jordan. And now, look where this party is going, where you got your Marjorie Taylor Greenes and your Boeberts and your Gates, and it's made these Tea Party guys who used to be so unreasonable look like moderates.
I see it. I mean, the left is going lefter, the right is going righter. It's not.
Yeah, you say that, but the left isn't going lefter. It's not. I mean, Joe Biden is by no means a progressive. He really isn't.
Joe Biden has proven to be more left than center as he's campaigned on.
Yeah.
Right. With this whole Green New Deal. I mean, that's more left than it is center, trust me. Right. And then
an infrastructure project, you think that's more left than right?
I'm not talking about the infrastructure project. I'm talking about the Inflation Reduction Act that did nothing but give subsidies to friggin'
it's
energy.
It has induced inflation.
No, it hasn't.
It's down to 2.5%,
and it's still at the highest it's been.
I
and
understand
that, right?
I understand that. You know what it is in Turkey?
You know what inflation is still
it's
up,
30%.
Core inflation are the things that we buy most. You know that, right? The core inflation, the CPI, right? That has gone up. That is either stayed
inflation is 30% in Turkey.
So
people pay $10 a gallon for gas in the United Kingdom.
Turkey. I don't care about Turkey right now. I don't. I'm not paying.
I don't care that you don't care about Turkey. My point is, I argued with somebody earlier today about this same thing. Joe Biden is not responsible for inflation being where it's at. And if Donald Trump would have actually won the 2020 election, he would be suffering through inflation right now as well.
He would not be suffering through this high of inflation.
How would he magically get it down? And don't forget,
we got to take a break.
We told Saudi Arabia to cut oil production.
If you want to get back into this,
gas prices.
If you want to get back into this, and you want to talk about gas price, oh my God! If you want to get back into this, we can do it after the break. But I don't want to take up your segment, man. So it's up to you.
We'll get to it later.
All right, guys, stick around. We're going to come right back after this.
Want to have your show on CT Politics? If you produce a show on CT political issues or commentary and want to play it to the world, contact us now at ctpolitics.tv. We'd love to have you part of the team.
Welcome back to Divided We Stand. Well, plain and simple, Fox News is full of liars. Rupert Murdoch admitted in court that all of your favorite Fox hosts knew Donald Trump lost the 2020 election to Joe Biden, but they continued to parrot the former president's false claims of rampant fraud. Right-wing nut Glenn Beck all but called it on election night. He said if Trump lost, a revolution might be in order. Now, the January 6th footage Tucker Carlson aired is more of that revisionist history. Running a snippet of calm amongst the 41,000 hours of craziness proves nothing. No matter how much you want Tucker to stick it to old lady Pelosi, what Fox allowed Carlson to air is the art of the conspiracy theory mentality that audience is spoon-fed on a daily basis. You can manipulate video. My 7-year-old can edit a video. I'm a facts guy. I say it all the time. There's people in the media who will lie to you for their own self-serving purposes. I don't do that. Sean Hannity is just one of several Fox News hosts who have testified in the Dominion lawsuit case under oath, admitting that he knew Trump lost and was making stuff up. But I'm a libtard for knowing that for the last 2 years. I don't like Donald Trump. I did on The Apprentice, not in the White House. He was divisive and disrespectful to the office and to half of America. Tucker Carlson hates Donald Trump. Of course, you wouldn't guess that by watching his show. The January 6th committee was a bipartisan commission. Republicans didn't fully participate, but I think their credibility on this is compromised right now. We know what happened, and we know Trump did hope to remain president after that day. That's not how America works. No fraud, nothing stolen. We should have had a normal, peaceful transition of power. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's been accused of participating in the planning of some elements of January 6th and asked for a pardon from Trump 3 days into serving in Congress, said if she did plan it, the insurrectionists would have succeeded. Ha, ha, ha. That's not the argument you think it is. Just because Trump and his 7-point plan failed doesn't mean it wasn't an insurrection. There have been weaker and more disastrous coups in history. I do think a lot of people who showed up are getting a tough deal, but the folks who planned it and assisted in the planning of January 6th should be facing serious charges and not still sitting in Congress. By the way, the suggestion it was Antifa or the FBI or some leftist nuts dressing up as Trump supporters as part of a conspiracy, ask yourself this question: why would the left want to overturn the results of an election that they won?
That's a good point, my friend. That is a good point. I mean, the rest of this is, duh. Obviously, so you and I have been on this show for we've been doing this for how long?
It's been a long time.
Right? And how many times do we come on here and say, well, during, back in the day when Don Lemon was on the late night and what was the other one there? Cuomo?
Yeah.
Cuomo. And I would slam them, right? And I would just be like, and Rachel Maddow, I would just friggin' plaster her. And you'd have to try it, and you'd be like, well, it's no different, man. And then now it's just my turn, and I want to sit here, and I'm going to take it, right? And I will. It's ratings at that point. After 5 o'clock, it's a ratings grab. And I've said this all along. I don't like Tucker. I don't like Hannity. I don't like Laura Ingraham because it's a ratings grab at that point. It's not news. Right? It's all opinionated pieces, and it's just a ratings grab. So they're going to be the what is his name? Milo Yiannopoulos, the provocateur, right? To gen up emotions, to take it. So Fox News is wrong in that regard. But again, I've never supported those kind of shows, and I've always spoke out against them on this program, right? And I think everybody should, unless you watch it for entertainment's sake. You want to watch it for entertainment's sake because you think Tucker Carlson's hair looks funny, and it does, then go right ahead. Right? But, you got to know and you got to understand that that's not news, right? That's opinionated. That's what Tucker Carlson thinks will grab more ratings. It's not even what he thinks, right?
But
was going to stop there.
but does Fox News have an obligation as a news organization to not allow anybody to air stuff that is completely false?
I think all news organizations have that obligation, right? And again, said it a million times, the 24-hour news cycle destroys and is continuing to destroy this country, right? Because this is and I don't like using this word, but it's true. This is the propaganda periods, right? Between 6 and 11 o'clock, I'll say. That's the propaganda period on both sides of the aisle, and people are digging it. They're digging it. And it's sad. If we could do away with the 24-hour news cycle where all you have to report is the news, and then people get to go out there and make their own decisions. Again, I'll bring this back to friggin' TikTok, man, right? TikTok has turned us into that headline society. So news stations now just have to give you big, bold, blood-leading head, if it bleeds, it leads first headlines. And you're going to be, oh, yeah, because you're a 15-second mentality. So, I get it, man. I understand the anger on the part of the left. I understand why you would feel stupid if you're on the right. I don't, because I've been saying it all along. It's been a ratings grab.
But here's the problem. 70% of Republicans think that the election was stolen.
Where does that poll come from? Because you know what? I don't see that number. I see.
Look it up. Dude,
I see a bigger number than I'd like to see.
Seriously, I feel like either most people I talk to are too embarrassed to admit they still think that, or that number can't be right, because I feel like most people are like, yeah, no, I know. But again, I don't know if they're saying I don't know. I'm not sure.
I'm saying, look, I say the number.
But I've seen that number. I've seen that number multiple times. Joe Walsh mentioned that number to me earlier today when I interviewed him. And again, I've seen it and I've heard it around. It seems like a pretty solid number. That's really high. Dude, even if it's 50%, that's too much.
Believe that Trump's law won the election.
Yes. Thinks that there was fraud and that it was the fix was on.
Hey, man, I let them think what they want to think, dude. And I understand what your problem is. I understand that now the news is creating culture, right? And I understand it. It's influencing culture in whatever way, right? And I get that, and it shouldn't be. And again, right? Again, it happens on both sides of the aisle. It happens on both sides of the entertainment aisle, and it shouldn't happen, period. Okay, again, we got to do away with this 24-hour news cycle. We really do. Because you know what? The answer is not a ministry of truth. That is not the answer.
No. So, but here's what we do need. It's high time that, because my other concern is that these Fox News viewers, I used to be a big Fox News fan. I loved Fox News. When we invaded Iraq, right through Mitt Romney, I watched Fox News was always on. I started to get the sense that they weren't being honest, and then I saw some videos on YouTube that proved it. And I swore after I got divorced, I wouldn't let anybody lie to me on a daily basis ever again. And so I decided I was done with Fox News at that point. There are people who either don't care they're being lied to, or they're being lied to by their media and it's forming their opinion. And I hate that. I don't think it's acceptable for politicians to lie. I understand at times they fudge, they fib, whatever. Outright lying, that's what they're all doing these days.
All of them.
Not all of them. Certainly both sides, if that's the suggestion you're making. There's certainly dishonest politicians. But you said to me, like, it's just baked into the cake, and I'm like, no, I don't. Take that ingredient out. We cannot allow our like, again, it's one thing if Fox News is just making stuff up. It's another thing when the politicians start parroting that nonsense.
Or
CNN, if you want, Jim.
No. I never said lying and having no integrity was baked into the cake. I've always said that infidelity was baked into the cake.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Are politicians crooked as a freaking day is long? Absolutely. Right? Does re-election, and I say this all the time, re-election starts, your re-election campaign starts the day you get elected.
Right.
Right? And everybody knows this. So all of us, you don't like, it bothers me that we can just think that these people actually genuinely care about us and then not hold them accountable to it.
Right. That's what I'm saying, Jimmy. They've divided us. We rely on them. Whichever side you're on, you are relying on your politicians to get your way of life carved out for you.
Yeah.
They owe us. The obligation they have to us is to be honest with us.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
You know what? The other thing, you should be able to watch CNN or Fox at any time and not think the people that are talking to you are just making stuff up.
In my world, Joe, I like that though, but in my world, if you're a news network like Fox News or CNN, which stands for news, right? They would just be talking the news. So theoretically, they'd be saying the same thing because it's just the friggin' news.
Right. Ideally, that's what the news should be. Everybody should be saying pretty much the same thing. And we've gotten to a point where they're not, where they're looking at the same reality and saying two completely different things. We can't. This country is in trouble right now, I think. I really do.
I've said this 100 times, but go on.
And how do we get out of this? Right? Again, we can't. I mean, right now, someone gets murdered, and it's like, which side are you on? Like, he deserved it. No, he shouldn't have been. Like, that's where we're at right now, and that's not healthy. We can't even see murder and be like, oh yeah, that wasn't right. That's an issue. How do we get over the minor differences we have politically speaking if we can't even look at murders on video and say, well, that cop shouldn't have shot that unarmed black guy who had his hands up? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where we're at. So where does and again, I mean, the name of the show, Divided We Stand, because that's what we are. And I don't know
when we're not, we'll change the name. Right?
What?
I said, when we're not divided, we'll change the name.
Yeah. Well, it'll be called Standing in Lockstep.
Together we stand.
Where together we stand. I like that.
There you go.
Stand together. Yeah, that would be beautiful. But how and when is that going to happen when we're still, again, dude,
Joe,
Mitch McConnell straight up like called out Tucker Carlson's nonsense.
No,
on the House floor. Like, that's
I told you,
crazy.
I don't agree with Tucker Carlson. You're blast him, man. I'm just going to go like this and let you go.
Yeah, right, but Jim, the problem is how many people don't know he was opining or that he manipulated them with video? They don't want to believe that.
Nobody wants to believe that, right?
Right.
You didn't want to believe that, right? When I told you about the Charlottesville video with Donald Trump and how CNN and MSNBC completely edited it to make it sound like he said what he said when he absolutely said the exact opposite in real life. So I get it, man, right? We're both there. We are. Excuse me. Sorry, man. And I God, I hate the freaking news. I hate it so much, dude. Right? And I think what you and I are doing right now, right? We're on the internet. We're on social media. We're not on traditional television per se. And we're out here and we're talking about from two completely different angles. And yet tomorrow we're going to go to the parade and our kids, can play together and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because, and this is what it's going to take to get us back together, right? To make it to where it's together we stand. And people ask me this a lot with my military experience. I'm like, Jimmy, what do you think it's going to take? And I say, it's going to take one thing and one thing only. And you know what that one thing is?
What's that?
I'm going to tell it to you right after the break, all right? We're going to take a short break right now, and when we come back, I'll give you my answer. Stick around, guys.
So, Jess, why did you become a realtor?
I worked in various customer service jobs, so I wanted something a little bit more rewarding. Becoming a real estate agent, being able to help people find their forever homes or their investment homes, starter homes. It's very exciting, so a lot of fun.
Now, you've gotten off to a really good start in your real estate career. What has been the most rewarding part of this for you so far?
Helping people, especially like first-time home buyers, finding their first home. They're so excited. I'm so excited to help them. So it's a nice, rewarding part.
What is it that you think makes you different than other real estate agents?
I think that my various roles in customer service has helped me. So I like to ask a lot of questions and I want to know what I'm doing. So I think that helps a lot because I'm not going to steer people the wrong way. I'm going to make sure they have knowledgeable decisions and help them find the right home.
Last thing I'm going to ask you is, and I know these are words that you live by, but the mantra at CTBB Realty is?
People over paychecks and do the damn thing.
And that's what we do.
Welcome back to Divided We Stand. I am giggling because if you did not recognize the person in that commercial, it is the one and only Mr. Joe Aguiar.
Yeah.
And if you notice something different, like Samson over there got his hair and
I really did. That was a lot of hair.
But I like this look a lot better, man. I do. I like it.
Thank you.
My answer, what is going to bring us back together, Joe? World War III. That's it. That's it.
I hate to say it, but like the day after a terrorist attack always
World War III, man.
Yeah.
It's going to take China invading Taiwan, which they may or may not do. I'm kind of on the fence on this one. It'll take China invading Taiwan, Taiwan resisting, us giving aid. And it's a NATO country, so we would have to go with troops, i.e. naval ships. Once a naval ship gets sunk, and that's thousands of sailors, Marines dead, then the nation will come together in one and be like, let's nuke somebody. But until that happens, and it's unfortunate, and it's extremely, extremely unfortunate, and it really pisses me off that it takes the lives of servicemen and women. It takes dead freaking 18-year-olds up to 40-year-olds, right? Men and women who volunteered to serve their country, dead. That's what it takes to bring this country together. Are you freaking kidding me?
That's a terrible thought, but I hate to say it. Maybe that is what we need. Some kind of national tragedy that tends to go a long way.
I mean, I don't want to. I mean, we can still talk about this, but some would say we're already at war with China, right? And I actually am one of those people. The war is going to start out between America and China, not China and Taiwan. Let me make that clear. It's a cyber attack. It's a cyber war, guys, right? The train derailments is an infrastructure attack, right? The power grid attacks is another infrastructure attack. The water plants, and I don't know how much news this has gotten, but water plants have received thousands and thousands of cyber attacks on them all over the country, right? Last year, it was a huge increase, it was like a 5,000% increase in the past couple of years, right? It's been skyrocketing. We're the United States of America, and I've said this 100 times, and this is one of my favorite sayings about this country. Our freaking diamond slippers are too tight, right?
Yeah.
We're so spoiled in this country, and we have it so good because we're such a great country, and that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, but we've taken it for granted for so long that think about this. Really, really think about this. What would you do without power? Electricity, running water, clean water, drinkable water, and food. 80% of our food is shipped by rail, guys. By train. You take out the infrastructure with the rail system, you take out a large portion of agricultural movement. We're not going to be able to eat. We're not like we are now. Your grocery stores are not going to receive the goods from freaking Missouri, from Kentucky. They're not coming. You're not going to have drinkable water if power water plants get shut down due to cyber attacks. The electric grid goes out. The power grid goes out. You're not going to have electricity to charge your phone. Think about that.
So let me bounce something off of you that you might like, and it is a conspiracy theory.
Ooh, hit me.
You may have noticed or heard recently that the Chinese government said it would supply ammunition to the Russian military in Ukraine to assist that military's failing effort. And shortly thereafter, the United States government came to the conclusion after about 2 years that it is likely that COVID started because of an accident at the Wuhan lab. Is it possible that we come to a different conclusion that it was from a wet market if China falls back in line?
Oh God, no. It's just not. The entire world now is coming to the conclusion that it was a lab leak. It's not. I think it is more far-fetched that it came from a wet market when there's no bats in that region. When they say it came from a bat, but bats aren't readily known in that region. I looked it up. God almighty, I think I had something crawling on me.
You're talking about a bat creeped you out.
Yeah, I do. I swear to God, I felt like I had something crawling on my leg. Right? But it's more, I think people are now realizing that it's more likely that it came from the lab than it did from a wet market. So is it a conspiracy theory? No, of course, I don't think it is. I think, and again, we'll hold our judgment like we always do until the facts come out. But no, it's not going to go back to the wet market if they fall back in line. It's not.
I also just saw an economist who was saying that if China were to invade Taiwan and face the kind of resistance that Ukraine is facing, it would completely unravel the Chinese economy and they would be finished.
Yes, I heard that too. And that scares me. And you want to know why that scares me, Joe? Because the U.S. will allow them to do it. We'll give them the green light to go ahead and do it. And then we'll fight them just like we are Russia right now to try to collapse that economy. Then we still become the only remaining massive superpower. It might not be a bad thing. However, And I say, however, that usually comes with a very, very hefty price tag called U.S. men and women, soldiers, airmen, Navy, Marines, all of us, right? That's the
Well,
price tag that you pay.
As Donald Trump once said, you know what you signed up for.
That's true. That is. Now look at you send me to war, I'd be like, okay, let's go. Today. Jimmy, you gotta go back to it. Okay, let's go. I mean, that's what I signed up for a long time ago. I'd still honor that and I'd go. But that's just who we are, you know. So we're a different breed of people. I understand that. And so
Yeah, I mean, not all of us wake up in the morning and think, you know what? I'd like to travel overseas and shoot people.
I think we all should because it's very cathartic. No, I'm joking.
I'm joking too. That's a terrible thing to say.
And
thank you, by the way. We should probably spend a minute on every one of these shows thanking you. And
no, absolutely not. You're not needing to thank me.
Service. No, you know what? All jokes aside, I'm having a little fun with you tonight. But yeah, I mean, that's I've got a lot of friends who have served. I've got friends who have been injured and shot. My couple of friends that were killed serving in the military. So, all the respect in the world for anybody that like you said, a different breed and a different mentality, and certainly a love for the country that you can't question.
Which is probably why I'm so freaking angry right now. Which is probably why I want to do this podcast with you, Joe, and try to make some sense of what's going on and try to see if we can't make some kind of a difference. If I can get a couple people together, be able to talk about it and not hate each other, that's a start. Right? And that's what we really need. We need somebody to start it, and why not us, Joe? Right? All right, guys, we're going to take our third and final break of the show. When we come back, I believe Joe has one more segment for us. Do you not?
I do, and we'll see how it goes because I think there was supposed to be a video or two, and I don't have them.
Ooh, all right. That actually might be my fault, but I might have sabotaged that because I know. All right, hold on. Stick around, guys. We'll be right back.
There's no bigger investment than home ownership, and to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
And we are back. Jimmy, I thought it might be fun. And again, this bit's going to go off the rails a little bit because I promise you there's at least two videos I think that were supposed to play, two clips that I did not give you, and that was my bad. So let's talk and get to know Tennessee's Senator Marsha Blackburn, a.k.a. the Marjorie Taylor Greene of the U.S. Senate. In case anyone doesn't know, she was, I kid you not, a home ec major from Mississippi State who takes money from the Russians, the NRA, and the Sackler family. Those are the people that gave us OxyContin. That's no joke. Marjorie Taylor Blackburn was recently named to the most corrupt list of all of our senators. You'll recall shortly after Joe Biden shot down that balloon, Marjorie Taylor Greene came out of a classified meeting where she started to basically explain everything she learned in the classified meeting. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? This lady hates most things that are good for us. And her hair is a disaster. Have you seen this lady's hair, Jim? I mean, my God. My goodness gracious. Now, I'll tell you, Marsha Blackburn hates socialism. She hates it. Tennessee is the number 2 most conservative state, as in they're number 1 in medical bankruptcies, number 1 in disenfranchised black voters, number 1 in rural hospital closures, number 3 in violent crime. They're at the bottom in poverty, pupil spending, infant and maternal mortality rates. Apparently, Marsha Blackburn thinks her welfare state wants a wall on its southern border. Got to keep those people from Georgia, Bama, and Mississippi out of Tennessee. This lady is absolutely out of her mind. She's constantly railing against Joe Biden on Twitter on crime, which really is the responsibility of your state government and your local municipality. But who cares? Impeach Sleepy Joe. Marsha Blackburn doesn't understand what the word classified means. I mean, it means if it was classified, I'm not supposed to tell everybody. You don't walk out of a meeting and start tweeting. What are you, Donald Trump? By the way, guess who pushed legislation through Congress to prevent the DEA and other law enforcement organizations from searching packages and seizing fentanyl and other illegal drugs? I'm not even joking. Marsha Blackburn. The GOP is telling people they should come cross our border. They're the ones saying open border and that people can come right in. Of course people think that. Marsha Blackburn is very concerned about your kids going gay. But here's the thing. Marsha Blackburn couldn't define woke with a triple espresso, a dictionary, and a sticky note on the right page.
I'm so sorry I messed those pictures.
No, listen, and there's a great video of her in literally in the Senate, and this is the claim she makes. She says she was on the border, and they watched people swim across, and she asked them, "Why did you come here?" And they said, "Because of Joe Biden," and then they ran off into America to live a life. Marsha Blackburn. I want to call her Marjorie Taylor Blackburn now. Jimmy, that didn't happen. She didn't meet an illegal immigrant at the border who said Joe Biden told her to come here.
You know, I believe that it didn't happen. I do.
Why say that?
However, because she picked it up, because it has happened. There has been news reporters, and you've seen them. I know you have.
Yeah.
Illegal immigrants coming over, and they asked why, and they said Joe Biden, because you know what? Those are the only 2 freaking English words they probably knew at the time.
Yeah, that's probably right.
But they might not even know what they said, but they did say they came across the border because of Joe Biden. Right? Now, is it true or not? Who cares? Right? I don't care why they came. I don't care why they're coming. I care that they are. Right? And the resources and the things that we need as a society are running out. That's why immigration numbers were made in the first place. So we have sustainable resources for these freaking people, and we're just running out, guys. I don't know what to tell you because of all these numbers. Joe, you can't hide the numbers, right? There are over 1.7 million encounters in fiscal year 21, 2.3 million in 2022, and so far.
Are we going to play? Hold on. Are we going to play the Godaway game? The Godaways?
No. I didn't say Godaways.
No,
I said
I've been hearing a lot about that. Well, I mean, if there were 1.7 million stops, how many people got through? Well, maybe theoretically none. Who knows?
Okay, understandable. I didn't say gotaways, although this report says there's over 350,000 so far this fiscal year. Now,
Who's
whatever.
counting?
I don't know. That's why I don't bring them up. I didn't
What I'm
mention them
saying.
actually in my little rant. You did, right? But so far, there's been over 1 million. Now, you say the border's not closed because they're getting stopped at the border. Great point. Great point. However, if we had a more secure border, i.e., if we freaking enforce the laws that are on the books when it came to immigration, and we said that we were going to, there wouldn't be that many encounters. Now, if you said that we were making the borders closed because we have, we've had those millions of encounters and we've shipped them all away, yeah, man, I'm on your side, brother. Borders closed. Closed for business. But we're not shipping them away. We're not deporting a lot of them. We are Joe has deported some, and people need to know this because they think that he's not deporting anyway. He's getting rid of a lot of people under Trump, now going back to a Trump era policy.
Yeah, well, already the progressives are pissed at again. That's why I tell you, dude, Joe Biden, he might seem liberal
Hold
to
on.
you. He's not liberal to liberals.
He was the first 2 years. Now I think he's like, you know what? They want me gone. He realizes that nobody wants him to run in his own party. He realizes it. You know what? Screw it. I want to do what I want. He's not going to be president in 2 years. He knows it. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. He's not going to be president in 2 years.
Especially President Buttigieg.
I would give Newsom more of a chance than Buttigieg. Honest to God. You wouldn't?
I'm not even going to ask you why.
Because California has more people.
I'm just kidding.
But no, honestly, God, you wouldn't give Newsom over Buttigieg?
I don't know. There's just something about Newsom. Buttigieg, oddly enough, it seems a little more wholesome than Newsom. Like just something about that guy. Like we're gonna find out something bad.
He looks like an evil he looks like an evil villain. Do you know what I'm saying? Like in an old cartoon back in the day with a monocle. You put a monocle on that guy with a nose. Yeah, he's an evil villain.
I've never bought into the Clinton body count, but I could swear to God Gavin Newsom's murdered a man.
Why do you say that?
Just something about him. Something's off. Something's off, dude. He reminds me of Dexter.
Ooh. Love that show, by the way.
Yeah, thank you, right? Good reference. There's something about him that I just am not comfortable with.
Yeah,
and it seems to me like Buttigieg is kind of boosted up to a slightly higher national level. So I don't know.
Well, okay. First off, you're right. Newsom just seems slimy, right? I don't know. There's something about him. Buttigieg was raised to a national level and is now getting booed. He's not doing well.
Yeah, but right? they love him on the left. The more you guys hate him too, the more lovable he becomes.
Until something happens, man, and he doesn't do anything with them. Until something happens, unless, Joseph, you don't think anything will happen in the blue area. It only happens in the red areas.
It's weird.
Right?
Yeah.
However, California is getting buried with, 12 feet of snow right now?
Well, listen, they needed the rain.
True. I don't want to hear them complain. All right. In all seriousness, Joe, I think that you and I need to lead a campaign to get rid of the 24-hour news cycle.
What would you run in his place?
It's on the networks. They can buy freaking sitcoms and reruns of Seinfeld or Friends. Something.
I would like to watch animal documentaries.
Oh my God. Animal Planet, Frozen Planet, anything with David Attenborough narrating, I'm on it.
Same.
But no, seriously. We need to bring back freaking Walter Cronkite. I'll even take back freaking, I know it's not political, but Harry Carey. All right, just because he was extremely entertaining. Right? But we need to bring back those kind of journalists, the people that are just, remember this. Journalism was made to hold government accountable. That's what true journalism was invented for, to be the truth seekers, to hold government accountable, not to be the government freaking puppet, i.e. the Republicans and the Fox News and the left and the freaking CNN and MSNBC. I'm not excluding any of them. They're both got hands up each other's butts and doing this thing, right? And that just needs to stop, because all it is doing more damage to the country, driving more of a wedge between freaking family members. Family members. Are you kidding me? And the last time, Joe, I would like to remind you, when we talked about that, brother versus brother, was a civil war. Like, are we honestly going back to the days where we can't agree so much that we want to kill each other?
Well, I'll say this, Jim. There really hasn't been a ton of political violence. You know, you would think where we are and the way things have been playing out that there would be more killings or violence directly associated with Trump, Biden, Clinton, whoever. And that, for the most part, hasn't really been the case. So I think if there's any silver lining here, it's that we haven't quite gone down that road. And if there's a way we can get out of this in the near future, we might be able to kind of avoid going that route.
Well,
because it feels inevitable otherwise.
Well, again, I don't mean to be over dramatic. I apologize. And I don't think it's going to be, and we've talked about this too, I don't think it's going to be a shooting war, gun violent war amongst ourselves. Again, it is going to be a commerce war. Walmart is going to become Republican. Target's going to become, I'm not saying, it's just example, right? Nike's going to be Republican.
It's funny. I heard the term earlier today, go woke, go broke. And I was looking at a list yesterday of all the woke companies in America, and it's pretty much every single company. And I thought to myself, and you know how I feel about this, most of these companies are not woke. They don't give a crap. They want money. And they see a niche market of maybe transgender females or independent women or whatever, and they're going for that. And if they have to play woke to get it, they'll do it. But to lose your mind about it, to me, makes no sense. These companies, they're not going broke by going woke. They're doing really well. That's why they're doing it. We have marketing people who look at things and they're like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's do it. So it's not even like they were guessing what the backlash would be. They already know what it is. 56% of people in America, including 86% of Democrats and 61% of independents, think being woke is a good thing. They understand it to be, all it means is to be aware of social injustice. You're not owed anything. You don't have to be guilty of anything. Nothing more than that. It's about 40% of Republicans who are convinced that what it actually means is follow our agenda. It's not what being woke is.
So I have noticed a large downtick in the cancel culture. And right, it's a good thing. That is a good thing, right? And this is why I'm going to disagree with your numbers just a tiny bit. I think people have now realized the term woke. Okay, and I will fully admit this, but it's just like everything else. And the term woke has become a word that's been weaponized, right? Which it shouldn't have been. The term should never have been weaponized, but now it has become synonymous with this either far or very good progressive thing or very bad progressive thing. Then there's no in between, right? And it's
Right.
awful. And it's awful. So I'll give you that much, right? However, the fact of the matter is that even here in the state of Connecticut, right? And I can only, and I'll speak for the state of Connecticut, there are very few registered Democrats and Republicans. The majority of them, don't they fall right here in the middle of the unaffiliated and the independents?
41% of Connecticut residents and 42% of people nationally are unaffiliated voters.
So the majority.
Yeah.
Right?
But Connecticut is a really good representation of what the country actually votes like.
Well, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's, well, no, it's not, because the Republicans won back the.
I mean, just demographically speaking, just the idea that, again, 41% of our voters are unaffiliated.
Okay.
It's 42 nationally.
Demographically, okay, I'll give you that.
Democrats and Republicans, it's like 22 to 21%. It's not that big.
Right. So what I'm saying is, the whole point about the woke thing here is that I think people have shifted more, that being woke is more of a negative thing, because they're like, oh, these guys are woke. Oh, no. So, and everything is woke is starting to die down, right? The cancel culture, the doxing, you don't hear a lot about that anymore. Right. So it would, again, great things. But now I think people are like, oh, that's being called woke. I'm going to stop doing that.
Well,
but
again, woke by liberal definition is awareness of social injustice. And I think mission accomplished. Everyone's aware of social injustice. Donald Trump passed prison reform, for crying out loud. Everybody recognized it was a problem. Everybody was aware that blacks were getting harsher sentences, longer sentences, and they're trying to remedy that, maybe a little too much at this point, but everyone's aware of it. And I think that was, if the point of what woke was for us to be aware of it and work on it, done. What's next?
So your definition of working on it, though, why do we have to work on things that aren't broke?
We got to work on everything. It's a work in progress.
The Marine Corps was perfect, man. The Marine Corps was great for 270 some odd years. Why do we need to go and change that crap?
Dude, if Thomas Jefferson saw that we were still using the stuff that him and James Madison wrote, dude, they would be beside themselves.
I don't think so, man. I really don't.
Yeah, dude, he wrote that with a feather pen, for crying out loud.
And I don't think they would be, man. That is, look at this is
he literally said before he died, you should update this about every 20 years or so.
This is a huge topic that we could talk about for another probably hour, and we've already gone over 7 minutes. So I'll leave it at that. How about that? Well, you know what I want to talk? We can talk about that next week, right? We can talk about the Constitution and updating the Constitution, and if we should, or if it needs to be, right? But I also wanted to bring up, and I also wanted to talk about, was it the other day, was it yesterday maybe, was National Women's Day?
Yes.
Right? And I had a very interesting conversation with a person about a female, actually, and how I'm probably more of a feminist than she is. So we'll get into that next week. It'll be quite interesting. So hopefully you guys tune in and we see you guys there for Joe Aguiar. Thank you. And oh shit. What'd you point at?
You.
Oh man, you messed me up. Thank you guys for watching very much. I really appreciate you tuning in for Divided We Stand. For Joe Aguiar, I am Jimmy J saying good night and God bless.